What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Spectators. This is episode 184. A lot of episodes with this man, am I right? Brooklyn, how you doing, brother? How we living?
I am doing fantastic. I'm living the life as well as the whole brand. Shout out the boys. We had a very fun weekend.
We did.
And
It was a lot that happened this weekend. Our weekend is still not over. We got another event showcase we got to go to tonight. The Who's Next showcase out in Tampa happens once a month over there in the Tampa area, and we're gonna be there for some independent artists, and you'll see some content on our Instagram all about that. So if you guys want to check that out, check out the artists. You'll be able to find all of them through our socials and such. But the event that did happen, we did have our second event that we were hosting. First one was for the lovers. This was the Sky Gallery. This one was a photography showcase and a fashion show. That wrapped up. We flew Omar out, the NBA guy. You guys have seen him. You saw him a couple times on the pod, and all of the NBA graphics are pretty much on him. He got flown out. He came out first time in Tampa ever. It was a short trip, a short turnaround, but he got in on Friday. Was here for the event. Got to meet pretty much all the boys he hasn't met in person yet,
yeah,
and it was a really fun weekend. It was a really fun weekend. Thank you to everybody who came out, everybody who was part of the event, who decided to come check it out, experience it all. It definitely felt like an experience, and I hope you guys all felt that. What were some of your favorite parts about the event and just the weekend in general?
well, definitely everybody being together, like seeing everybody interacting, people that I haven't even met before, finally meeting. That was really cool. Being able to see the city come together like that. But I gotta say, my favorite part was the fashion show. The we really were able to make it happen in a way that involved everybody there, and it felt like an underground fashion show. Like, you got the crowd opening up, everybody walking through the whole entire venue as well. So that was really cool to see that all come together. And I mean, it's the first time we've ever done that.
Yeah, we haven't
And
done
I'm
anything remotely close to that either. So
no, so I'm really proud of the whole team for being able to put that together. It really came out dope.
it came out really good. And again, we hadn't done anything like that, and I felt like everything went as smoothly as it could have.
Yeah.
Um, you know how hard it is, not just you, but the people listening, to gather 80 to 120. I don't know how many people there were at the time of the fashion show, but we'll say like 100 people to gather them to go and stand behind a strip of tape so that we could have a little runway for these people. I said it once on the mic, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay." They
Yeah.
they backed up and did it. It took no
Yeah.
extra effort, no like fighting the crowd or fighting the tide, and that was pretty cool to see. And we were able to get you on the mic, which I know that's really your first time outside of the podcast and like all the interviews that we've done. But like actually
Yeah.
speaking in front of like a live studio audience, something of that nature. So
Yeah,
uh,
like actually seeing everybody in front of you when you're on the mic it's wild. It's wild. My first time ever doing it, and I just ran with it. It felt good. Like getting everybody hype, especially when we had Black Clover come up too. He was in attendance. He's fresh off his professional MMA debut too. This week, like we've gone from his professional MMA debut to Sky Gallery and now to the Who's Next showcase in a matter of 6 days. Three pretty big events in 6 days. It's been a fun ride.
it
Been a
has, and I
fun
mean, we're
ride.
still making sure we get an episode out for y'all too. It's not like
Uh,
that's putting on the back burner. We've
no.
been laying some groundwork for another event now, trying to figure out things of that nature. So when we have more details on that, we'll let you guys know. We'll
Hmm.
be a little bit. We're gonna get this one settled for a second and really
Yeah.
enjoy the 2 for 2 that we feel like we've done so far. So we're gonna sit back. We're gonna enjoy it. We'll celebrate for a couple of days, and then really get to work on the next or whatever's coming next. But I mean, I've already started. Like I'm working on a bunch of stuff that you saw right before this that hopefully you guys will be able
uh,
to see soon, and it's gonna be really good. And in the middle of all of that, we've been doing our best to keep up with everything going on in this world's world as well. And we got the NBA playoffs going on right now, which I actually have a horse in the race for the first time in what feels like my life.
And Omar got to see that horse in the race literally hours after Sky
Yeah.
Gallery
We have
from
this man.
Tampa.
It's crazy. He gets off the plane, almost misses his flight because he oversleeps because we just had a long day on Saturday. Gets off, goes straight to MSG, and pulls up to watch the Knicks Cavs game 4. Knicks wind up winning. And before this game started, we're like, not only are the Knicks going to win this, fingers crossed, we were hoping it was going to happen. Not only are the Knicks going to win this, but then you're going to go outside and you're going to get the best content ever. I need you to go crazy. He kind of did. If you guys didn't see that already, 7th Avenue in New York was insane after the game. You would have thought we just won the championship. We didn't even win the series
The
yet.
series.
But we won the homestand. And they're like, hey, we got something to celebrate. We're just coming out. Let's get lit. And 7th Street was shut down for like 2 hours.
You had people crowd surfing. You had Spidey. Don't you wish you came to the Knicks? Like everybody was wilding out. There was a parade inside the city.
Yeah, I did see a bunch of those things. It's a parade inside my city, yeah. But like, actually, when's the last time you saw that in Memphis? Never. You saw it after Game 4 in New York.
It was wild.
Yeah,
it was wild.
and
I know that boy Omar had an amazing time.
And I really like to see stuff like that though, because you know how in certain sports there's teams that like when they do well, you see it, right? You're like, wow, like they really love this team. And you've heard the phrase if you've watched the NBA and you watch like, people who talk about it online or like the ESPN people or wherever you get your sports news and entertainment from, you've heard people say the league is better when the Knicks, Lakers, and Celtics are good. You've heard that.
Yeah.
And we've seen the Celtics win, and they've been good. They went to a finals last year. We've seen the Lakers be good. Obviously, the whole Kobe era. LeBron got a chip there now. Like, we've seen them be good. But we haven't really seen the Knicks be good since, like, Carmelo and Amari Stoudemire, like, truthfully. And this was, again, they didn't win a series. They won a Game 4 at home in a pretty decently close game where their best player and their all-NBA power forward played the worst game of a really bad series that he's played. And the city's insane, and there's content being created everywhere, and people are just overreacting and going crazy and excited and exuberant. And it's like, that's why people say that about teams like the Knicks and the Lakers and the Celtics, because this is the way people react over a game that doesn't do anything. Like, the job's not done yet, but people are just excited and have something to cheer for.
You know what's cool about it and how I look at it is like you guys are celebrating it because you know that there's a chance that they don't come back this series back to New York.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and set the tone and celebrate now like the series is over because we're shipping them over to the second round now. So I think that's really dope. And I mean if they keep on bringing that energy, it's going to be a fun ride for you guys.
It certainly seems like it. 3 of the Cavs' 5 lowest scoring games this year came against New York in New York. So they were a top 5 offense and a top number 1 defense in the league. So to be able to kind of get under them, and granted they're a young team that doesn't have a whole lot of playoff experience outside of Donovan Mitchell, but to be able to affect a team like that with a home crowd is definitely not marginal. It's not marginal. So shout out to New York. They got to finish the job over there, but they've looked dominant in how not great they've still looked. Like they've shot the ball really poorly, but they've gotten a lot from a lot of different guys. So that's been pretty cool. I do want to talk. Oh, you got.
No, I was just saying there was points during that game that we were watching a mid off.
It was terrible. And that's honestly been the whole series. It's not been good because the defenses have just been so stifling, but
yeah,
it's just one of those things that I would like this next game to be like a shootout. I'd need a 120 to 125 game out of them, and they're both capable, so I want to see that. I want to move on over to the Heat and Bucks because this is like a series that nobody expected to be even remotely what it's turned out to be. Giannis goes down in game 1. They wind up losing that. Game 2 is the strangest like blowout ever. Just the Bucks without Giannis just shoot all time great. I think it was they tied the NBA record for threes in a game. 138 they put up against the Heat without Giannis. Then they come out in the next game and look terrible again. And that was that was in Miami, I think. Yeah, it was in Miami. So
In
they
Miami.
go to Miami, they wind up getting smacked. Now they have to go to game 4. They are down 2-1. I don't know if Giannis is playing. Like that's still kind of
There's rumblings that he is.
yeah, and
So
you'll take a 40% Giannis because a
absolutely.
40% Giannis is still better than really anything else that Miami can kind of stop. And I still think the Bucks are one of the best teams in the league, but it is concerning that a Heat team that I feel like hasn't been that good this year, and they've had so many holes, and they've looked old, and their rotation's short, and now they're out Tyler Hero. Oladipo's going to be out the rest of the postseason. Like, this is a team with a lot of injuries and a lot of guys who just haven't been that guy in the past outside of Jimmy Butler and occasionally Bam. And they're up 2-1, and it's a little bit concerning because even without Giannis, I felt like the Bucks were maybe the second best team in the East, even without him.
Hmm.
And they're not really showing that. And it's all I don't know. It's a little concerning.
Yeah, I had like a feeling when Giannis went down, and dude, you remember last week when I brought it up, saying like, is it overreaction to think that the Heat could still win this series if Giannis isn't playing, and you guys still was going all in on the Bucks, and very reasonable. Like there was not much argument there to go the other way. Like why wouldn't them? They're the
The
one
Heat
seed.
haven't shown me anything like prior to these two games that they've won that would
No,
like convince me of this.
but I mean, you look at their stats that they've been putting up. You got multiple people in double digits playing pretty good basketball. I mean, to get to this point right now. So even with Giannis coming back potentially for this next game, if the Heat manage to go up 3-1, this series is over. I don't think it goes all the way to
Think
seven.
so?
Yeah, I don't think it goes all the way to seven.
So you have the Heat if they win tonight, which I think
If
they'll
they
win.
yeah if they go up 3-1 and Giannis is still playing this game, I think it's over.
Okay. I'm hearing what you're doing.
It's a big task.
Yeah, I
It's a
don't.
big task,
I
but
don't like it even if they win tonight because this is in Miami. I don't know. It'll again. It won't be a
you think the Bucks are gonna bring it all the way back 3-1?
yes. They're a much better team.
They could, but I don't think they will.
They're a much better team. It would also be one of the biggest like playoff disappointments maybe ever. I
Yeah,
think it might be
it
the. I mean,
would.
granted, like the injury is like a big deal, obviously, and one seed is
Yeah.
just never lose to an 8, and losing your best player is kind of tough. Uh, but they're just too talented to be doing that. Now I will say, I'm all for it. Let the Heat beat them. Go ahead, because I'm looking a little bit forward. And if there was ever a path for a Knicks to get to the championship, it kind of heavily involves the Heat winning the series. So that's all I got about that. Give me the Mickey Mouse Road. I don't care. I'll take it.
Yeah, there's no path I see the Heat like going on a run and making anything happen after
Oh
the series.
no. The Heat are absolutely getting blown out by the Knicks or the Cavs. That's not a series.
Yeah.
Those teams are too deep. They're too good defensively. They're too big. Like both teams are just too big. That's not happening.
No.
No.
But it if they manage to beat the Bucks though, oh my god.
Yeah, that's like there's conversations about like again, there's not even conversations to be had though. Like Giannis is hurt. It's a pretty
No,
like bad injury. It was a back injury. Like that kind of throws
yeah.
you off. So there's not like any legacy slander to be had about it. I'm sure like in 10 years people will be like, well, Giannis lost in the first round because we forgot that like man landed like straight on the spine.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna care about that, but as of right now, it's not gonna mess with them too much.
I will say too, if the Heat win this series, it's actually bad for them in the long run because they will lose the next series.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're going to be in that false sense of hope. They're already an 8 seed, which is not a good place to be because you're like, oh, we made the
No.
playoffs. We're almost there. The Heat are going to be like, oh, well, we're just one guy away now from being really competitive, and you're not. You guys are a full roster
No.
away. You're so far away from being a true contender. I promise. I promise. So it
Yeah.
would actually be pretty bad for them. Like if the Bucks lose this series, you know what's happening? They're gonna come back in the next year and be a contender. Maybe
Oh,
be the favorite
absolutely.
side of the East again. Because this roster is gonna stay majority the same.
Yeah. There's not going to be any fall off with them. They're going to be chilling.
So
Chilling hard.
yeah, that's crazy. Oh, what else are we talking about? I want to talk about last night's game a little bit. I don't know if you got to see any of this. Timberwolves hold off a sweep. Anthony Edwards has actually just been unbelievable in this specific series. I mean, Anthony Edwards has probably been the best player on Minnesota all year. And it really sucks because we've talked a bunch about Minnesota and I've slandered them as much as I have about the Gobert trade and all that. But it kind of sucks to see, like, man, Anthony Edwards is the guy that needs to be built around. How can we do that now? Because you're looking at this, you're like, this is a clear cut guy you can build around. Is he like a top 20 guy in the league potentially? I don't know. He might be close to that at some point in his career. Obviously not yet, but he could maybe be that type of guy. At least offensively, he's definitely on his way, and he's still so young. But this is like a guy you build around. A young dude who actually isn't terrible defensively. He's gotten so much better defensively over the last couple of years. And he can
And
create
will
his own shot.
continue to.
Yeah, he can create his own shot, and he's explosive, and he's fun. And man, he won that game pretty much single-handedly last night. They get to OT. He winds up hitting the dagger. Obviously, this was kind of a gentleman's sweep now. They put a lot.
Yeah.
They put a lot of energy into winning a game in overtime at home. In Jamal Murray's most efficient night of the playoffs, and Bruce Brown for some reason taking 12 shots, like, and he wasn't even that inefficient, but it's a good win. It's like a moral win. And it's. I feel like this win for Minnesota is actually not terrible because it's like, hey, this is the guy. Whatever we have to do to build around him now, that's what we do. Because imagine you're giving all the draft picks you gave up for Gobert and all the money and time and energy you're giving to Cat, and they're giving you 31 combined. Karl Anthony Towns, and here's the slander. Karl Anthony Towns is the most scared star I have ever seen in this league. He claims to be the best big man shooter of all time. And I'm not even mad at the take. I think he's like on a right path to maybe be that one day. But dude, you cannot be the guy that was built a team around. They built this team around Cat and taking 9 shots in a playoff game, in a win or go home game. 9 shots. That's unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Like, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just embarrassing, blatantly.
Yeah, you gotta go ahead and put the team on your back if you're the guy. It don't matter.
And clearly he's not the guy. It's Anthony, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
So
man. I really hate to see, like, Cat and how talented he is, and I think he's a great dude. And I give him still a little bit of slack. He's had a really rough go over the last couple of years, right? Just in general.
probably as tough as anybody
In sports.
documented.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
documented wise.
yeah, it's crazy, and
I'm
it's
sure
never
there's still
it's
plenty of others.
it's never beef with him or anything like that. It's just like, again, they put all their chips on the table for you, and you're taking 9 shots. That's just not good enough. It's not good enough.
And because sad reality of it is like you're getting paid all that money. It's been years. Like nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna care about what you got going on outside. Like if you
Now,
lose
when
a
you're a
series,
Timberwolves fan that they keep losing every year,
like,
this team should be half decent. So that's how that is. Shout out to the Timberwolves though. I feel like they really wanted to avoid that sweep, and that was like a good like emotional step for Anthony and for whoever else is going to be moving forward with that team. Just in general,
and
like
And you gotta love playoff basketball because if you remember last week on the episode, we were all getting on Anthony's head for just disappearing, trying to
He
figure
was
out where he.
he was horrible in the
Yeah,
play-ins.
yeah.
Horrible.
And then
In
here we
this
are, full
series, he's been
circle.
good. In this series,
Yeah, yeah,
he's been really, really good. And that's kind of the step that he's gonna have to learn, the consistency of it all. And everybody's gonna have bad games, and that kind of happens unless you're, KD or LeBron. Like everybody else has bad games in this league. But
yeah.
here's the reality of it. Cat shot 9 times in this game. You blink over to the Clippers, who don't have Kawhi Leonard. They don't have Paul George, right? Those are their clear 1 and 2. Those are superstars in this league. Bona fide superstars. I don't care how you feel about them and their injuries over the years. They've had plenty. Those are the stars of this league. And they are a legitimate contender when they're on the court. They're not on the court. They're a shorthanded team. Russell Westbrook, a late acquisition. They got him they dropped him over in LA. They pick him up here in LA. Puts up 37 points, 17 for 27. Probably the best scoring game we've seen from Russ since he was back in Houston. They get the loss, but like that's a dog. Like he's going and he shot efficiently, which he doesn't do anymore.
Yeah.
He was efficient. He didn't turn the ball over a whole lot. I mean, he had 4 turnovers, but like that's a Russ game. Like that's not like
Bro, I will happily take 4 turnovers for Russ.
yeah, like
And
that's
he's
like
putting up everything
fine.
else. Give it to me.
And
He,
it's what you're gonna get. Like Norman Powell put up 42, I think, in game 3. He goes 4 for 15 in this game. Took some pretty poor quality shots.
yeah, you knew you weren't gonna get that again though.
No, and it had to be from somebody, and he didn't really get it from anybody. But that's what happens when your 2 guys that you're expecting to get probably 57 points out of aren't playing. 57 points gone.
This
Like,
series could have been a lot different. A lot different. And it sucks.
yeah,
Because
it
now,
does.
now the Suns are gonna move on. Like the
Well, it's
Clippers
not
aren't
over
winning
yet,
this.
and it's not over yet, and there's a chance Kawhi comes back, and with how not great, and I don't know if this is more of a they haven't looked great or they're just playing down because there is no Kawhi. It might be some combination of the two. The Suns have not looked great
Yeah.
by any stretch of the imagination. They're marginally winning this game. This is probably the most comfortable game in this game 4 that they won, but game 3 kind of came down to the wire because again Norman Powell was going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 they were losing for a minute there, and then it wound up turning into a blowout. If Kawhi comes back, it's a 3-1 lead. I doubt anything happens here, but Kawhi is a big enough player, and he's a big enough playoff performer that I can tell you confidently stranger things have happened.
They have, but
And if you give me a game with Scott Foster, give me let the Clippers win game 5, give me Scott Foster in game 6, and then make anything happen for game 7. Who knows?
let PG come back a game early.
Oh, he's
get
not
like
coming. Yeah, he ain't coming.
get 50% PG.
Playoff P at 50% sounds horrible. Sounds horrible. Playoff like performers, I don't understand why it's such a thing, dude. Some guys are just known to be bad in the playoffs, and they just are. D'Angelo Russell stinks in the playoffs.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, some people just ain't built for it. Like you have
so.
all the eyes on you. Lights are brighter. Like you go through a different routine. It's weird. It's weird. You start getting in your own head. I mean, all that together, you just disappear.
Yeah. It's difficult. And you know what's the funniest part about some people disappearing for the playoffs? There's a tweet resurfacing from Ben Simmons 3 years ago. And the Sixers got swept 3 years ago in the playoffs. And he said, and he didn't play that year, he was hurt. And he said, like, this is such a bad feeling seeing my boys get swept. I never want to feel this again. There's also a response to that tweet that says, Come to the Nets, it'll never happen here. Fast forward 3 years. Ben Simmons demands a trade from the 76ers, goes to the Nets. Doesn't really play for the Nets either, despite whatever he had going on, not going on anymore. His injuries are clear. He's healthy. This is Kawhi at the Spurs level of healthy. Nobody's ever been more healthy ever. And he winds up sitting out for the bottom half of the season. Well, not half of the season, but the last couple of weeks of the season. He doesn't play for the Nets, and they say he is done for the year, where he is not playing. He goes
It,
against his original drafted team. Maybe it was part of that. He knew the Sixers were on the horizon, and he didn't have the shame and the wherewithal to go in there and get bullied like he was going to, like he would
he
have
was
been.
going to. He was going to.
And then you know what
Uh,
would have happened? He would have gotten bullied 2 games in Philly, and he wouldn't have played well, and he would have shot like 42% on like 6 shots, or that math's not mathing, but you know what I'm saying. He would have shot like 40% on like a small amount of shots, and it would have been embarrassing because he had like 11, despite all the hype around him. And then he goes back to Brooklyn, and he gets booed there too because there's probably more 76ers fans in the stands than Nets fans at that point. And he gets booed there too. He gets bullied up the gym again.
And you got the Nets fans booing him too.
And so like, I get it for him. Like he's probably like, you know what, this is best for me. I'm gonna just like, maybe if they forget about me and don't see me enough,
They're
they'll
not
just
gonna forget. They're not gonna forget.
But Ben Simmons,
He's on the path to being one of the biggest busts.
I don't think it's a biggest bust because there's plenty of guys who just legitimately didn't play, and all that. But I will say we kind of had this conversation. I think it was you and I, where like I'd rather almost have a bust be like an Anthony Bennett, where he came in the league. It was a reach in a draft. By the way, that was a horrible draft.
It was.
It was like 2013. The only good player to come out of that was Giannis. Granted, he's a fantastic all-time great player at this point. The top like 8 in that draft were pretty bad. Anthony Bennett came in the league. He played a couple games. He wasn't good. He was pretty much out of the league 2 years later.
Yeah.
More or less. Like he was on a roster. He wasn't getting minutes. He wasn't playing. Nobody wanted him. When he left Cleveland, he was done. I'd almost rather have that where you just kind of know right away that this guy's a bum.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
it sucks. We were bad for a whole season and we got you, but it didn't work out. And it didn't work out. And that's fine. It's like when you get into a relationship and you start dating a girl, and like on the third date, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm good. But like those first 3 dates, you spent like $400 each. But it's like, hey man, at least like I'm not spending $400 on the next 4 dates to find out more.
Oh my god.
I have never done this. Let the record show. Let the record show. Let the record
Sheesh.
show. I'm not Mr. Moneybags. Do not come after me.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Ben, it took like however many years. I don't even know how long he's been in the league anymore, but however long he was in Philly. And then he signed the extension because it seemed like he might be good. He made an all-star game, but he wasn't even that good in the all-star that year. Like, he shouldn't have made it, but he did because he was Ben Simmons. He's always been a name brand guy.
Well, you also get like the fake rookie of the year and stuff too.
Oh, that was crazy.
He didn't play the first year, which should have been a sign. We should have knew right then and there that we were in for a weirdo. And then like there's all this hype around him when he finally starts balling. He looks dominant. He's making stuff happen. Like he looks like a good ball handler, could get in the paint. And that it just keeps on falling apart.
I
the
like
man's been in the league for 7 years, but he's only played 5.
I really like this the
4.5, really.
I like the
but-
Trae Young like narrative too, because like Trae Young is like rent free in Knicks fans' heads, right? Whenever you see one of those Bing Bong videos, they're talking about Trae Young and they're slandering him, and it's funny.
They were chanting F Trae Young after the game.
Yeah, after yesterday. Why? Why? But nobody should hate Trae Young more than Ben Simmons. Trae Young, not exaggerating, ruined the trajectory of Ben Simmons' life. Not his career, his life.
Yeah.
because now this
Because
man lost respect from like every NBA person ever. Which what is respect? Who cares? But like
some
millions of
people,
people think he's just a bum.
yeah.
And instead, he could have just been like some cool role player. Like if he would have just not been great, and just became a good defender, role player that could pass, fine. But like, it's just all the circumstances and all the stuff
Yeah.
and all the not the sitting out and the demanding trades and the I'm hurt but I'm not really hurt, bro. This man sat out so he can get a contract, and then he got it, and then was like, oh, by the way, I've had an injury that I should have had surgery on 7 months ago. Weirdo. Nets get swept. He gets to watch it. He gets to watch another team of his get swept, and allegedly he felt bad the first time. I wonder how he felt this time. I wonder if he cares. I wonder if he cares. Truly, I don't know. I
I
hope
know I
so.
didn't. I know I didn't care.
Why would you? Why should
I,
you?
that was so ready just for the sweep. I wanted the season just over with.
It's one of those things that I'm a really big advocate. You've heard me say this too. There is no reason that we should remain loyal to an organization. And this is a little bit different because the Nets have tried, and we respect trying, right?
Yeah, it hasn't really been their doing for the nonsense this year.
Yeah. But like, man, dude, like you guys have tried twice now with really three times if you want to count like going and getting Harden too and then getting Ben Simmons. Like you guys have made these big threes, big fours, and with just no foresight even in like the realm of existence. Like it wasn't even in your back pocket of a thought for foresight
No,
to like build a roster that was actually good. You're just like, ooh, Kevin Durant, ooh, Kyrie, ooh.
and I understand that. Like, I mean, those are historic guys who you bring on your team, and they change it. They change it, and you have an opportunity to win now. And if they're healthy and KD's a half an inch smaller on his big toe, and like there's no nonsense going on, we probably get one or two championships. I believe that. And that's not even me just saying that because that's my team. Like if everything works out, which I mean, fairy tale, yeah, sure, whatever. You could get one or two out of this franchise in this time. But you bring everything in, it's just like, co- come on now. Like as an organization, you can't expect all that. Like you put all your eggs in one basket because you're bringing in these goats. Like they're ballers. You can make stuff happen, but now it's just like, damn, what happens in the future? Because that now we're here, everything crumbled, nothing worked out the way you wanted it to. You got a little bit back. Like we could still make something happen with what we got back, but it's
What's gonna
just
happen though? Like this is a cool young
yeah.
team, great. Like unless Mikal Bridges becomes a top 15 player, Cam Johnson becomes a top 30 player, what are you really doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like the NBA
And
is
they're
so
playing
cutthroat
great.
with like
Yeah.
how elite you have to have your top one and two guys, and then also have an elite core around them. Like the Nets didn't win because the guys around them weren't good enough. Joe Harris was supposed to be this great 3-point shooter. He gets to the playoffs and he looks like probably what Brian Scalabrine looked like. I don't remember, but like there was memes about how bad he was. Like, like
And the worst part is like you look at the team we had before KD and Kyrie. If you just could have built on top of that, things could have been so much different. But no, you blow it all up. You bring in a whole new face of people. You expect them to mesh, and it just keeps on falling apart more and more every year. And now we're at a point where we're fighting with crumbs. You got the ghost of Ben Simmons just dangling. We got to figure out what to do with him to get him out of there. Like we are we going to be able to get a free agent? I don't know. Are we going to be able to make a trade? Maybe. Are we going to draft well? Who could tell?
you guys have never done that.
So it's I mean I wouldn't say that. We got Claxton, we got Cam. Like they've been balling, and Jared Allen, all the rest of those guys. So
Jared
I wouldn't
Allen's
say
looked like
we.
a bum.
I get
Bum.
that, but at the time
Yeah,
the
yeah.
drafts haven't been that bad. So I don't. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
It's
it,
super
it
tough.
it definitely. I feel like now like seeing everything. I feel like just all that happening is probably why basketball has just been such a afterthought for me this year because it's like every time I look, I'm just like, oh brother.
More
So
nonsense. More
this is,
nonsense.
this is me venting. I'm hurt.
It's understandable. It's
uh,
understandable. And then I want to talk about one more series too. Um, we have Sacramento and Golden State. We could talk about the Lakers, but like
mm.
that series, I think is gonna last until next episode. So like, I think that one winds up
I
going seven.
really want LeBron to just have a crazy breakout game against Dylan. Just yam on him,
It was kind of last game, honestly.
put up 40 like he wants, and just ended. Because like LeBron's holding back so much on these press conferences and stuff. He's like, I don't even want to deal with this.
Well, last game was crazy because like LeBron and Dylan talked before the game, and then we have a Dylan Brooks disaster class. Like he was horrible.
Yeah.
And he was terrible. And after the game, they ask him to talk, and he says no. And it's like, oh man,
Like don't try to
Dylan,
be the villain and then fold when things start getting hot or not going your way. Don't do that. Keep talking the whole way through.
the whole way
You'll
through.
you'll get more respect that way. Don't back up from it.
Yeah, he was
So
really bad. 3 for 13, not good.
not
Not
good
good
at
at
all.
all. Not good at all. Ja came back and looked amazing, so that was nice. With Ja back, and like if the team doesn't play like as horribly as they did in this, because they're pretty bad. Also, this was like one of the best defensive games from the Lakers like all year. Obviously, Ja puts up 45, but they had a bunch of turnovers. I think it was 17 or 18 turnovers. They had a bunch of blocks. Like they were really good defensively. So
Mm-hmm.
you give a. I don't know if the Lakers play that well defensively again, especially now they got to go back to or no, they're still in LA. Never mind. Ooh, we're only in game 3 in that one. When is the next game? Is that tonight? It is tonight.
Yes, 10 o'clock.
It is tonight. Nice. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sacramento Kings and the Warriors. It's the ultimate new guard versus the old guard. Uh, these teams hate each other already. Like there's bad blood between these guys for whatever reason already. Sabonis and
Yeah.
Draymond might like go outside and just actually throw hands at the end of this.
Mm.
De'Aaron Fox is becoming a superstar right in front of our face.
Bro, it's amazing.
He's
38 from him this last game.
Yeah, and he's been honestly sensational. Him adding the 3-pointer to his game and
Mm.
becoming pretty efficient at it has been
Yeah.
all the difference because now it was already really difficult to guard De'Aaron before because he was just like a drive to the paint kind of a guy and he would blow by you and he felt like again John Wall, like one of
Yeah,
those guys.
speedy, lengthy.
But now he's pretty efficient for the most part from 3 and he's getting better every year. And he's always been very good in clutch time. Always. Like his whole since college, he's been fantastic in the clutch. And although like the last possession of game 4 was rough, I did slander him a little bit for that possession. It was not great. They have a chance to take the lead with just a 2. They inbound it. He goes all the way to the other to the backcourt with 11 seconds left. Takes his time. By the time he starts his move, there's 6 seconds left. That's like, my brother, you need to get a shot up to maybe get an offensive board if you miss it. Like you're down 1. If you miss this and they get it, you can foul and like get another chance. They didn't play that properly at all. I didn't like it. But he's not the reason that they've lost the games they've lost. And the Warriors just won 2 games at home. They had great defense when they needed to have great defense. They've been shooting the lights out of the ball from 3, which is like crazy. They shot 42% this last game from 3. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we supposed to do about that?
Yeah.
And Jordan Poole putting up 22 also. That's like a big X factor for them. Jordan
Are
Poole is
you
such a streaky dude.
are you worried at all about the series now that it's just gone back to back, 2 back to back wins for each of them?
What do you mean worried?
Like on the Kings side.
No. I
No,
mean,
you think?
you would have loved to steal one, but the Warriors are clearly a better team at home than they are on the road.
Yeah,
Clearly. Uh, you just got to win tonight or whenever that next game is. You got to win and get it to game 7. If they get it to game 7 in Sacramento, I'm probably not overly worried about the Kings because at that point, just the Warriors would not have beaten the can't win on the road narrative, and they probably won't.
yeah.
Uh,
Because as of right now, I'm a little worried, just because you look like you're comfortable after the first two, and then you drop two. That's
Plus, you
never a
give
good feeling.
confidence to a Warriors team that you give.
Exactly.
They're the ultimate organization. You give an inch, they take a mile,
Yeah.
and they've done it forever. This is the first time they've ever been down 2-0 in the Steph Curry era, and all of a sudden now it's 2-2. And it's like, here we go again.
Exactly.
Here
You
we go
got a
again.
chance to like put them away or take a 3-1 lead on them.
Just
Like
didn't do it.
make it happen. But now you tie it up. Anything could happen, and when you're playing the Warriors in a anything can happen series, it's not what you want.
It's not what you want at all. So I'm not worried about it yet. Um, I will say if the Kings lose this game at home, I think it's over.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
like, and that's typically how the NBA works. When you win Game 5, you typically win the series if it's tied up. But they need you can't let Golden State, notoriously bad on the road, beat you after
No.
gaining all this momentum. If they win 3 in a row, it's just over.
Yeah. Like
I'm not
even
worried.
to it. Yeah, I just got a little bit, but still Kings and 6.
Kings in 6.
So
So you think they win that one? They win the next 2.
I mean they better. don't don't let it get to game 7 either.
Yeah,
I don't care if you have the 3 losses on the road for the Warriors, and then you got to fight the narrative again game 7. Like that's just due for a win on the road at that point. Like don't let it get there. Don't
fair
let it
enough.
get there.
I'm here.
Win these next 2, put them away, continue the run, because that's the only chance you guys got.
Because if they advance, they could make a real run.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm here for the Kings. I want it to happen, but I see a road right now where they're letting it fall apart. It might not be that serious, but I'm seeing it. Don't let it happen.
I'm
So
seeing it. Yeah, honestly, don't let it
we've been
happen.
here before. Like it's the Warriors. You know what they can do. Don't give them a chance.
Don't give them a chance.
Go for the head.
Yeah,
Got to.
got to. So we do have the NFL draft coming up this week. Also, we'll talk more about that next week on next week's episode. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Ooh, that was brewing. We'll talk about that next week's episode. We'll give some draft grades and all that good stuff because that's like super exciting and that's officially NFL season. Oh my goodness. The allergy pill did not hit this morning. I'll tell you what.
At all.
It did not hit.
Losing all composure.
Losing it all. But we'll be with you all guys on that. We'll try and get some graphics out and all that so keep you guys up to date as the picks come out. Maybe some TikToks as well. Give you some opinions. And yeah, you got anything else before we head up out of here, BK?
At Spectators Media, IG, and on the tube, we gonna have a lot of stuff coming out from the Sky Gallery event. Videos, pictures. Already got some pictures up there. So if you weren't able to come, go check it out and enjoy it. And if you were there, enjoy it even more.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you everybody again for coming out to that event. We'll see you guys next week on this show. And take it easy. Have a good week. Later.